I don't know what your opinion is, but tell me what you think about Gary Sanchez real quick.
As a human?
No,
As a
with his play.
I mean, I think the rule is really difficult to understand, to be completely honest. It's got an NFL catch rule aura to it.
Agreed. It's on Locked On Blue Jays. It's right now.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm Matt Bonaparte. That's Ben Shulman. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And this episode is brought to you by Vroom. With Vroom, you can buy a car entirely online and have it delivered straight to you, so you never have to go to a dealership again. So next time you need to buy a car, just grab your phone, go to vroom.com, and check out thousands of great cars. Ben, the Jays were in Minnesota, the great state of all those lakes. Split it right down the middle, the 4-game set, 2-2. Was that what you expected?
I mean, it wasn't out of the question. I thought they could win the series,
I think they should have won the series.
but it's not like shocking. Minnesota's not a bad team. They're not as
I think
good as
they're
the
an
Blue Jays.
overrated first place team.
Yeah, I think the division is terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, so they're not like calling them a first place divisional team. Yes, probably over projects a little bit how good they are, but like their record is whatever. It's like 5-6 games over 500. If they weren't leading a division, they would be in and around the wild card. So, like, they're a decent team.
Yeah. I think the Jays should have asserted dominance, but that's just me, I suppose. Let's do some MVP, some storylines. I'm gonna rip my MVP real quick. Um, I wanted to go Wit just to dunk my hype train, but he didn't play the last game and he kind of struck out a lot, so I didn't do it.
Well, he
I
was in the
would.
last game. He was in the big play, but he
Yeah.
didn't.
Well, he had one
But
at
yeah,
bat. He had
yeah,
one at bat.
yeah.
I went Vlad instead because Vlad was he just tore the cover off the ball this series. I mean, he had 7 hits in the series, 2 homers, 5 ribbies. He walked twice. He scored 3 runs. I mean, the dude was just everywhere. Um, that guy's so good at baseball, and like, what's funny about it is like nobody's talking about how he's just has this massive hit streak and he's playing so well. Average is creeping up towards 300. Nobody's talking about the guy, but he doesn't care. He just keeps moving.
Yeah, he's super hot right now. Like you said, he's hitting 290. He's bumped his OPS up to 875. Like, if he gets to 300 and 900, this is not a disappointing year. It's obviously not last year, but last year had a lot of factors, and it was just a great year anyway. And it always helps a little bit when you're hitting in Florida and Buffalo. So, yeah, he's been phenomenal. When I went to pick, he was the guy initially that I had my eye on, but only because he's already been so hot, I decided to go with the guy who really, really needed it, and got it, Bo Bichette. Bo hit near 400 in this series, had a homer in the loss, in the second loss, had, what was it? Couple doubles in the series, three doubles in the series. They slid him down to the 5 hole, and he hit really well, and that's good. I mean, he's another guy. It's like he's not going to have his last year numbers. It's too late for that. But if he can get hot at the right time, he's still one of the most dangerous doubles hitters in baseball, and he showed that in this series, especially in Game 1 when he had 2 doubles in that game and another base hit. So, yeah, Bo is good.
Yes, Bo is good. How about a storyline for you?
So my storyline is that the Jays could have easily won this series, but also could have easily lost it. Game 2 of this series, they probably should have won, because they go down 5-0. So in a way, you're like, how should they have won? Like, Barrios had a bad start. But at the same time, they tied it up, didn't score in the top of the 10th, which is brutal, and just handed away a run to lose the game. Like a high throw from Jansen, but also not an awesome play from Vladdy at first. Turns one out and a runner on third into no outs in first and third, and then the game's just over. Like, you're not getting out of no outs first and third. So they could have easily won that game, and that would mean that they would have won the series. But also, we talked about it off the top. I mean, I truthfully don't know what the call should have been because I truthfully don't fully understand this rule. But they could have easily lost the series finale. At least if you ask Rocco Baldelli, they got the call wrong. He made that pretty clear. And I know Minnesota didn't score in the 10th, so like maybe you could say, okay, it would have continued, and who knows what it would have happened. But it's definitely cutting it by a fine margin by blowing the game. Romano giving up the run in the 9th, although credit to him for coming back and pitching well in the 10th. And then, getting your go-ahead run on a review. So I don't know how that rule works, but I do know the Jays were pretty close to not winning that game, which would have meant losing the series. So that's why I wasn't like totally upset, because I feel like they easily could have won this series, but they also very easily could have lost it. So I'm kind of okay with them coming out with the split.
Yeah, I kind of went with a different angle at my storyline. I looked at the new guys. I've concluded in their first series that they played fine as a collective. Witt was pretty good. I'd say Witt was probably the best of them. Um, he had 5 hits in the series, struck out 6 times, which is like not great. But as a contact guy, he was kind of there. He stole a base. He had an RBI. Like, I think I'll
It's
take
huge
that.
for
He scored
you.
3 runs. Yeah, it was big for me.
You win the
Um,
over-under of stolen bases.
It's true. We should probably go over those, but whatever. And then Mitch White in his start, like, it wasn't great. Like 4 2/3, 3 earned, 6 hits. Like, he wasn't like great, but it wasn't like he gave up 10 runs or anything. Like, it wasn't like the end of the world.
Yeah.
The worst of the performances, but still. Anthony Bass, he was fine. 2 2/3. He let up a homer, which isn't great, but only 2 hits, 3 Ks. And then Zach Pop, he only had 2 innings to work with, but he let up 2 hits, no runs, 1 K. I'll take it. So they were fine. The new additions, obviously, you can't really define them by their first series, but their first look at them is that they were fine.
Do you want to quickly go through the over-unders? I have them
Sure,
up.
let's rip it.
Okay, this was for game 2, the 6-5 loss. We both said Barrios under 10.5 Ks. We were both right. He had 1.
Wow, that's nuts.
I believe you picked them to homer off a reliever.
I did.
And I did not. And they did not homer off a reliever. They did score
thought
off a
I-
reliever.
I thought I had it when Vlad hit his first home run, but then it wasn't off of a reliever. And
Yeah,
I
it was
really
the
upset.
final inning of Malley's start.
Yeah.
We both said Vlad would get over 1.5 hits. That was correct. He went 2 for 4 in game 2 of the series. And then you said Witt would steal a base this series. I said he wouldn't. And that landed in your favor. So we both ended up 2-2 in different ways on the over-unders. So
I'll take it.
good for us.
Yeah, we're the best. All right. Well, let me tell you about LinkedIn, man. As you gear up for fall, you need the right people on your team to help your small business fire on all cylinders. LinkedIn Jobs is here to make it easier to find the people you want to talk to faster and for free. Create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach out to your network and beyond, to the world's largest professional network of over 810 million people. Then add your job in the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring so your network can help you find the right people to hire. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. That's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. And did you know, every week, nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonmlb. That's linkedin.com/lockedonmlb to post your job for free Terms and conditions apply.
Roundup. Prospect Roundup on a Monday. We've missed a bunch in a row for important things, but we still apologize. He's Matt Bonaparte. I'm Ben Shulman. This is Locked On Blue Jays, part of the Locked On Network. Prospect Roundup. If you haven't been with us for a couple weeks, we picked 3 prospects. At least one of them has to come from off the top 30 prospect rankings, which you can find on MLB.com. And we pick 3 and highlight them for good play, often good recent play. Bones, would you like to start?
Sure, man. I'm going with a guy I hadn't heard of until this morning. When you think of catchers in the Blue Jays system, you think Gabby Moreno and you think maybe Luis Meza, and you don't really think of anything past those 2 guys. Well, hey, start thinking of a man named Jommer Hernandez. That's right. I'm talking Jommer from Puerto Plata, Dominican Republic. Okay. This kid, he just got moved up to high A on July 24th, and he's just raking. First of all, I commend him for being called up on a day that he went 0 for 5 or 0 for 3 with a walk. But hey, he came up. He hit 2 homers already. He's got 7 hits in 7 games, 6 ribbies, 5 walks. He's hitting the ball pretty darn well, and at the catcher position, that's something you like to see. You might be thinking, well, he's probably like 24. No, the kid's only 21 years old. He's got some career in him. Barely older than me, which is huge. And I'm happy for Jommer. Go Jommer.
It's always weird when athletes are younger than you, right? I know like most of our listening audience doesn't feel that, but we're at that age where the
It's
best
weird.
athletes are starting to be like our age or younger. And it's like, oh, what am I doing right now? All right. That's a good pick. I like it. I'm also going to go with a guy recently called up, which will not be a full theme of this prospect roundup, but it's kind of that time of year, especially post-trade deadline. A lot of guys who are on the block now that they haven't been traded get moved up, so that's cool. I'm going with Eric Pardinho out of Lucelia, Brazil. Blue Jays were the farm system that raised the best Brazilian player ever. Bones, do you know who that is?
Neymar.
Jan Gomes. And so this guy, Eric, spent most of his year with Dunedin, and that's where I'm going to talk about his performance. His year got started a little late, to be honest. Got started in June. He just did get the promotion to High A Vancouver. But in his last month with Dunedin, in the month of July, he pitched 10 innings out of the pen of 1 run ball, had an 0.9 ERA at that point. Not a huge strikeout guy, but consistent, but just was not allowing people to get on base whatsoever. I mean, for the year, he has a 0.96 whip, but with Dunedin, he had a 0.67 whip. Like, he's only allowing a guy on base 2 out of 3 times in multiple inning appearances. That's pretty ridiculous. Did not have a good first appearance in Vancouver, but you just get bumped up. That happens. So I'm excited to see how Pardinho finishes the year. He's probably a guy, at age 21, he is younger than both of us, unfortunately. He is probably a guy who ends up, starting the year with Vancouver next year. So maybe he can have a strong send-off to his season.
Well, I hope so. I'm going to go for my second guy, a guy that you love to talk about, but I kind of stole him from you here. I'm going Ricky Teeds, dude. Ricky
yeah.
Teeds is my guy for this one. Another guy, you're going to sense a theme here. Another guy who just got called up and made his first start in Double-A on the 5th of August, or first appearance. I don't think he started. Oh, no, he did start. Okay. His first start, and he went 3 innings. He only let up 1 hit, 1 walk, 5 Ks. And again, a guy who got called up after a rough patch. He went through 3 games where he gave up 2 runs, 3 runs, 4 runs. It got worse and worse, and they were like, all right, time to bring him up. So I kind of like this, that the Jays are bringing up guys who are struggling. It's an interesting
Well,
strategy.
overall, Ricky is not struggling.
I'm just kidding. But he played really well in that debut in Double-A. So good to see him back on track and good to see him getting the call up. I mean, this guy, 19 years old, and he's got a hugely bright future ahead. So happy for Ricky making that jump.
Yeah. By the way, our first two guys were not on the top 30. Ricky obviously is. He's the Blue Jays' number 3 prospect. And being 19 at Double-A is outrageous. At High A, the average age for a pitcher is 23. He's 19. Wow. He's a level above that. So that's a really good sign that they think he can handle it. And he did handle it in game 1. So that's like projecting yourself to maybe even make the majors late next year at only 20 or 21 years old, which is pretty crazy. I'm going to go with another guy with New Hampshire right now, position player Luis de Los Santos, who is having an average season. He's hitting 270 with a 743 OPS, but he was having a bad year before, like a real bad year. If you track it back to early July, on July 3rd, he's hitting 236, but he has just gone on a hot streak to over 2 months bump his average up about 34 points. And his last 3 games have been really good. Multiple hits in the last 3, including a homer on the 6th. He does have 1 day off from a hit streak, or else he'd have a hit streak going back to July 24th. He's just very consistently coming up with multi-hit games and driving in runs. And at Double-A, he's 24, which is a pretty solid age. So I'd be lying if I told you that I've seen him glove it. This is probably more of a statistical analysis from us on a weekly basis than it is. We're not lying to you. We're not watching all these guys play. But if he can glove it, he's having a decent year. And maybe there's a shot for him to make Buffalo coming up next year. So Luis de Los Santos, shortstop out of Bajos Tejana in the Dominican Republic. I'm interested to see how he finishes this year. And maybe he can get that average close to 300 and that OPS close to 800.
Let's hope so. I'm moving back to the bump for my last guy, another guy whose name we've heard a couple times here on Prospect Roundup, a Missouri State grad. That's Hayden Junger. He just got the bump up to AAA. There's my theme. 3 guys who just got bumped up. His promotion was on the 23rd of July, it looks like. Another guy who hadn't not given up a run in quite a while before being sent up. So Jays continuing on their theme here. But he's pitching really well in AAA. So it's really good to see. 8 1/3 thus far, only 1 run given up, 8 Ks. And he's been pretty dominant in different roles that they've put him in. The first game he played against Worcester, he pitched the 6th and 7th, got a win. A couple days later, pitched the 8th and the 9th against Scranton, got a save, and then he pitched the 3rd and the 4th the next day. So they're trying him out in different situations, and he's been pretty darn good in all of them. So Hayden Junger, good to see him thriving. This kid, another young guy at 21 years old in AAA, and I think he's going to be pretty darn good for the Jays in years to come. And this is a reliever, so we could see him anytime now.
Yeah, he's the number 26 prospect for the Blue Jays too.
His birthday's tomorrow.
On their radar. Oh, happy birthday, Hayden! Because we're not going to mention it tomorrow. Man. So happy birthday. That's cool. All right. Yeah, that's a good pick. I mean, Hayden, his name's come up once or twice, like you said, but it's because he's pitching really well, and you're not a 21-year-old at AAA by accident. I'm going to go to wrap up this prospect roundup with another top 30 guy. I'm going with Chad Dallas from Texas, from Orange, Texas. The number 22 prospect in the Jays system. He's a 22-year-old. They picked out of Tennessee, 121st overall last year. He's had a solid year. Don't get in the major league mindset with the ERA. He has a 4.03 ERA in 16 starts, which for the minors is actually pretty solid. I at least know in the Midwest League, like an ERA like that would give you a good shot to be in the top 10 of the league because pitching enough innings to be qualified and having that ERA is pretty impressive at the minor league level. But it's gotten even better recently because he had a fantastic July. Another guy where it's like his last appearance, kind of like Los Santos, last appearance was kind of whatever. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. But in his month of July, he had a 1.59 ERA. Including one start on July 14th where he went 6 innings, 1 run on a solo shot, and he struck out 8, only allowed 3 hits, did not walk a batter with his 8 Ks. And then came back versus Everett on the 28th and threw 6 shutty, 8 strikeouts, 2 walks, 2 hits. So it's been getting a lot better for him. His ERA was up near 5 at one point. And during the month of July, he actually did dip it below 4 before it coming back up a little bit in his last start. So he's obviously someone they spent high draft capital on, and someone who I think has probably pitched well enough that by the end of this year, they'll be thinking about bringing him to New Hampshire to start next season. So Chad Dallas, good name, good smile, and good pitcher.
Good for Chad. He does have a crazy good name.
Yeah.
And of course he's from Texas, but I love it.
Yes. I did kind of want him to not be from Texas because that would be funny.
Like Chad Dallas from Vermont.
Yeah.
That'd be funny.
Chad Dallas from New Mexico, and you're like, oh. But yeah, that's Prospect Roundup. When we return, we will be giving you our preview of the Orioles series. Your fun fact to keep you going through the break is the Blue Jays play 54 games in this season remaining. 15 of them are against the O's, so get used to these guys. We're going to talk about them when we return. First, we need to talk to you about the homies at betonline.net, the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your betting needs. Find all your favorite sports and events at the #1 online source for odds, lines, and games. Find reviews and news of every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports wagering information. From live in-game betting scores and podcasts, they have you covered. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to learn more about the action happening today. BetOnline, where the game starts.
We back. It's Locked On Blue
Nah.
Jays. Matt Bonaparte, Ben Shulman, at Matt_Bonaparte, at Ben Shulman 7 on the tweet machine. Hey, send us an email, will you? LockedOnBlueJaysReal@gmail.com. That's LockedOnBlueJaysReal @gmail.com. There, it's on the screen twice for you. All right, it's scrolling and it's stationary. In just case you can't follow the scroll, it's going left. It's going right to left, which I find a little bit weird, but it's okay. Send us an email. All right, let's talk hype trains. Let's talk scaries. My hype train comes in the form of a guy who has not been playing well as of late. He's having a down year. There's really no doubt about it. His OPS doesn't even scratch 700. And in August, he has just one measly hit. I'm talking about a guy named Santiago Espinal, okay? Santiago was hot early in the year. This guy was an all-star. Can we remember that? Like, Santiago Espinal was an all-star this season. Albeit he was a fill-in, but still, he was on the team. And he's not playing like one. I'll tell you that much. He hasn't had a multi-hit game since the 28-5 game, and even that was kind of like a wild game where everybody hit, so I'm going to take that one out. And if you want to go before that, he was the Phillies series, which was 4 days before. So he hasn't had a multi-hit game in a while. I want Espinal to do something good. I want him to have a series where he has 6 hits. I want him to go off the chain, all right, and just flip his luck because he's a good hitter and he knows it. This guy can go out there and hit contact-wise with the best of them. And I've got faith in you, Santi. So please, I believe in you.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of a quiet, like, extended slump. Like, I don't think people are talking about it, but
Yeah.
to be completely honest, like, if the Blue Jays season ended today and they were knocked out, and on the position player side, you said, where do they need to improve? the only clear place where the guy's not hitting the way you want him to is second base. So I do think this is a big, like, he took over the starting role for this year, but he needs to hit a little bit more probably, or it's no guarantee that he's just like the opening day starter at second next year. Like, I really think
Yeah.
that.
I think he is the biggest place to improve probably right now.
So, but I love him and I want him to be there. So I'm hoping and praying that you made a good pick and that he'll be good. I'm going to go with an obvious pick, which I think it's good when we do it like that, where you pick like a sneaky one. I'll pick an obvious one or vice versa. So I'm going to go with Vlad. Vlad's unconscious. He is the most hits in his career against the Orioles of any team. He has like good numbers against all the AL East teams, especially with total stats, but he's played the Orioles a lot now. He's been in the majors for a couple of years, and he's got a 1.083 OPS against the Orioles with a bunch of bombs. So I'm pretty confident that Vladdy's going to keep the good times rolling here, especially with the fact that for the most part, the Orioles were sellers at the deadline, and some of their pitching, including their nasty closer, Jorge Lopez, have walked out the door. So if anything, it's only easier than it was before. So Vlad is my pick.
Vladito Placata. All right, time for the scary man.
My scary is so obvious. Like, can I just say it?
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
My scary is Ryan Mountcastle. It's the best pick I made all year. The first time when he hit 2 home runs in that series, brutalized the Blue Jays. Ryan Mountcastle is arguably the biggest Blue Jay killer in baseball right now. He's played 29 games against the Jays in his career. He's hit 12 homers, and his OPS is over 1,000 against them. So.
Yeah, that's an easy pick for you to make, and I hope you're right again, just for the sake of the credibility of the pod. I'm going to go with a guy who's arguably the best catcher in baseball right now, which is kind of crazy to say, but I don't really think it's wrong. Adley Ruchman. I'm going Adley here. He's been fantastic for the O's, and I'm really happy to see it because I love catchers. So I love seeing him play well. And in August, he's been pretty darn good. He's got 4 doubles that he got on the first and second day of the month. He's got 8 hits in 6 games, 2 ribbies, 8 walks. And on the season, he's been just having a really, really good year. On base percentage north of 360, OPS north of 800, 5 homers, whatever. But the guy's hitting the baseball well. And I'm happy to see Adley Ruchman playing a really, really good backstop. So good for you, Adley. And I'd be weary of him. Blue Jays pitching staff.
Yeah, it's big for the fraternity of former Oregon State kickers that they have, a guy like this coming out. He used to be kicking balls to Christian McCaffrey, and now he's smacking balls over the fence.
What a life. All right. Well, we will see you tomorrow morning. Thanks for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen today. Go make your second listen to the Locked On MLB podcast. MLB expert Paul Francis Sullivan brings humor, passion, and a unique perspective on every team and the biggest stories around the league. Follow the #1 daily league-wide podcast, Locked On MLB, on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. We will be back tomorrow to maybe test Ben's luck. Sorry, you muted me with that remote. No, that was a bit I just did. Audio listeners are shook.
Shook. I was holding up a remote and Bones pretended to mute himself.
Anyway, we'll test Ben's luck on He Was a Blue Jay tomorrow. See you then. Peace.